Well, here we are. Season 7, Disc 1, the last episode. 256. It's a two-parter. GAMBIT Part 1. We've already done Descent, Liaison, Interface. We're into GAMBIT Part 1. I hope you will stick with me for Part 2. And if you haven't watched the other ones, please go back and watch them. And please continue with the rest of the season. This is the end of Star Trek Next Generation. I do have a couple of books that made it through the latest book run that I thought I would share with you. They're not sci-fi related at all. Excuse me a second. They're not sci-fi, but I don't know. I just thought I would include them. Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina K-R-S-T-I-N-A. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy schmancy stuff going on here. And, I don't get views. I can't make up fake titles. I'm not very good at that. So, anyways, let me share these two books with you. These came through the latest book haul. This thing is thick. The Swan Song, Robert McCammon. An ancient evil roams the blasted nightmare country, as evil as old as time. He is the man with the scarlet eye, the man of many faces, gathering under his power the forces of human greed and madness. He is seeking to destroy a child called the Swan One. I just thought I'd share these. 1987. And this last one, Peter Straub, Ghost Story. Everyone has been afraid sometime. Everyone has felt fear close, a cold hand around the heart. Tug at the scalp and send the blood racing wildly. Everyone has been afraid, but none so afraid as the terror-stricken men and women of Millbourne. So those are our two. So I wish we could play the episode and talk about it as it plays, but there's a whole bunch of legal issues on that one, so we can't do that. So let's get started, shall we? Well, first of all, it's dark, so you can't really see. That's my big complaint here, is you can't see. What the point is it to have dramatic acting if you can't see what's going on? And supposedly it's supposed to be a imitation or, a pat on the back or whatever to Star Wars. It's supposed to be a Star Wars type environment. But what good is it if you can't see it? And there's no captain's voiceover either for this episode. So apparently, Troy? I can't see. I really can't see. Let's see. Okay, there she is. But it's so dark. I can't see. She's asking about a guy, and she says we have business dealings. He owes me money. If we had business dealings, I can tell you that I wouldn't disappear. Maybe we can discuss that possibility, but first I have to find him, collect the money I'm owed. I'll be closing in a few hours. Perhaps we can discuss this more privately. If I don't find him, I'm going to have to move on. Are you sure you haven't seen him? Human, about 2 meters tall, smooth head. No, I don't remember any of it like that. You're lying, Troy says. And you're a Betazite. I thought so. Listen, people who come in here, they count on certain amount of anonymity. And if I were to start answering questions about them, even to a very beautiful woman, I wouldn't be in business very long. And he probably wouldn't have life very long either. And then Riker comes in and threatens him, and Worf comes in and says a few words and all this other kind of stuff in the bar. I still don't know what's going on. Um, And then they rough the guy up, and Riker says, "That's enough, Counselor Deanna. I'm sorry. This is not about revenge. This is about justice. The captain died in a bar fight for nothing. Nobody has to answer for that. Then I can mourn." Huh? I'm confused. Are you confused? I'm confused. So here's one alien. I mean, how can you see, right? And there's Riker and Worf. And then the bartender gets involved. And then Dr. Crusher gets involved. Could you see her hurting anybody? I still don't know what's going on. So then we get a voiceover. Ah. Acting Captain Stardate. Well, it's not in the note. Hmm. Okay. So what happens when the pussycat steals your papers? Acting Captain Log Stardate 47135.2. Dr. Crusher has positively identified Captain Picard's DNA. There's no doubt now that he's dead. Excuse me, without a physical body. Come on. So Troy and Diana, Troy and Riker have a talk. She says the crew's pretty shaken up. She's arranging a memorial, and she thinks Riker should be the one to do the eulogy. I think you'd be better at something like that, or Beverly, she knew him longest. I know it's not going to be easy, but I think it's important that we face what's happened. You're in command now. The crew's looking to you for guidance. You don't understand. I can't give the eulogy because I won't be at the service. A memorial service helps to give everyone a sense of completion, helps them begin the healing process. That's exactly the point. I don't want to heal. Well, I've an open wound right here. It hurts like hell. I don't want it to get better, and I don't want to pretend that everything is all right. I know you're angry. And he's like, yes, damn right, I'm angry. That's pretty selfish of you. Do you think you're the only one in pain? Do you think you have the monopoly on loss? Let me tell you, we're all hurting, we're all hangry, and whether or not you like it, you have the responsibility to the crew. True. I would like to point out, we still don't know what happened. We have no clue what happened. We're not told what happened. So I just wanted to show him on the bridge, but we still have no clue what happened. We have no idea what happened. Then Riker gets a message from this guy called Chakotay, and I'm thinking of Chakotay from Voyager. And he's not even Indian, and he's Chakotay. And we still don't know what happened. I read your report, Commander. My condolences to you and your crew. Captain Picard's death is a loss to the entire Federation. I see that you've asked to postpone your admission to the Argus sector. For what reason? I have a request, sir. I'd like to conduct an investigation into Captain Picard's death. The Dissessian authorities have jurisdiction in this case, Commander. Right, I know that, sir. I frankly don't have much confidence in the authorities and Dessa too. There's every reason to believe they're corrupt. I suspect you're right. The question remains, are you the one to pursue this? The captain's death hit me pretty odd, and I may not be completely objective, but there's no one who is more determined. I won't rest until I find out who's responsible. All right, Commander. I officially place the Enterprise on detached duty. Your mission is at your discretion. Good luck. So, they've got this guy on board the Enterprise. I have no clue why. So Riker comes in to talk to him. Commander, I've been meaning to speak with you. I'm wondering if you could move me to better quarters. I don't care for these. These are the best quarters we have. Deal with it. Sorry, I was hoping you've had a chance to relax, might have remembered some details about the aliens you saw, something you may have forgotten. Sorry, my memory isn't what it used to be. They murdered a man in cold blood in full view of everyone in the bar, and you can't remember anything about them? Now that you mention it, I do remember one thing. They said they'd kill anyone who talked about what happened. Do you know where they went? So you know who they are, and you know where I can find them. Perhaps I do. What do you want? Not a great deal, Commander. A shuttlecraft. I believe I'd like to travel for a while, see the galaxy. A shuttlecraft. Well, here's my offer. Instead of a ship, I'll give you some time. Time? If you're lucky, you'll only spend the next 5 years in prison instead of the next 20. You've got 12 outstanding arrest warrants for fraud and petty theft in the Klingon Empire. Tell me what you know. I'll pull some strings. Maybe they'll reduce your sentence after you're extradited. If I tell you what I know, you must promise not to give me to the Klingons. I'll think about it. Perhaps you should send me to Federation Rehab. Talk. Aliens, some kind of mercenary group. They're operating in this sector for the last 6 months. Where do we find them? I heard one of them mention the Barra system. I think they were headed there. You think? That's all I know. And Riker's like, Data, get us to the Barra system. Okay, so now we're in the observation lounge. And, I still can't see for anything. Data, Riker, Worf, Geordi's there. The Baratus 3 is the only M-class planet in this system, and it's listed as unpopulated. However, sensors have detected intermittent energy signals emanating from the circle. What's the source? The signals are difficult to equalize, Data says, but they could be emissions from some kind of power converter, which could indicate a base or a ship. What else do we know Baratus 3? The planet was used as an outpost for the Debune approximately 2,000 years ago. The Federation Archaeology Survey has cataloged numerous ruins on the surface. Mr. Wolf, I'd like security detail to accompany the away team to the surface. I'll lead the team. Geordi with me. Mr. Data, you have the bridge. And Data's got to point out. Let's see if I can find it now. Hey, that's a better view of everybody. But Data's got to point out that he shouldn't handle the away team, that he should stay on the bridge and the Data should go on the away mission. But Riker insists that he is the one to go and that Mr. Data will take the bridge. It's against the protocol. So they've beamed down to the surface. It's tough to get accurate sensor readings here. There's an awful lot of interference in the area. From what? I'm not sure. It's very unlocalized. It could be atmospheric. What do you make of these? And there's bits of charred ground. He says, well, these ruins around here, they're plenty ancient, but I'd say this indication was made recently. This could be the site of some battlefield. It doesn't look like any blast point I've ever seen. The shape is too perfect. Sir, there's microcrystalline damage all through the area. The same kind of pattern that Dr. Crusher comes up and says, it's not Dr. Crusher. That's a ensign. So they find this thing on the floor, and then someone starts shooting at them after they find this thing on the floor. Looks like I have no idea. But they find artifact. So the ensign gets shot down, and Riker and Geordi and Worf take position behind rocks, and then these people shoot at them. And she's like, the away team is under attack. It's Does that look like a Romulan? Is that a Romulan? Am I seeing things? I have no idea where this female ensign came from. I have no idea. I didn't see her in the initial away team stuff, but all of a sudden she's there. There's a front view. I still didn't see her. It definitely looks like a Romulan. It does. It does look like a Romulan. And they take Riker. So then after the firefight on the ground and the people beam up to their ship, it leaves. And we see this. I stopped it in the wrong place, but this is the ship. They practically fly into the Enterprise in that shot that I accidentally showed. They damaged a little bit of the ship. They flew into them. She gets a lot of dialogue for an extra in this episode. A lot of dialogue. Data says go. She says the ship's going at warp 8. Data says hit warp 9. They go after the ship, and the ship disappears. They lose all trace of it. So she gets a lot of dialogue. Kudos, excellent, lots of dialogue. It's rare that an extra gets this much dialogue. At least that's my thinking. I mean, I could be wrong, but after 7 seasons, she's had a lot of dialogue. Okay, so then we're back in the ready room. And Data says Starfleet intelligence confirmed that the ship matching the configuration has been linked to raids on several other planets in the sector. For the short time it was in our visual range, we were able to take sensor readings of the mercenary vessel. It appears to be encased in an energy-absorbing material. Although, as we can see, the ship this energy sheath renders it virtually undetectable to our long-range sensors. There must be some way to track it, Troy says. Jordy says, Data, I know this is a long shot. If I can remodulate the long-range sensor array, I might be able to sense it enough to detect the ship. Without a full compositional analysis of the energy sheath, the chances of finding the correct remodulation sequence are remote. Sir, if they've taken Commander Riker, we must do something. We cannot sit here. On the contrary, Data says, this is precisely what we must do. Since there are no viable alternatives, we will return to the surface and attempt to determine what these mercenaries are doing on this planet. An investigation might reveal some indication of their purpose. Please notify me when you've assembled your search teams. Dismissed. And he sits back and does one of these. What's up, Data? I'll have to check that out. Is he trying to channel Captain Picard? Is that what he's doing with the steepled hands? Okay, so then we're showing the enemy ship. Not very clearly. So, Richard Lynch, huh? I'm thinking he looked familiar to me. He's the bad guy from Charmed. That's what I remember him from the TV show Charmed. But they're on the enemy ship and they've got Riker and they've got the Cardassian. It looks like a misfit of bad guys. Um, I warned you not to push the engine so hard. 2 of the power shunts are on the verge of collapse. We'll be lucky if we maintain warp 6. How long will it take to repair? I can try to realign the warp core. It'll take at least 11 hours, but I'll have to shut the engines down completely. We're not stopping. We can't afford to be helpless in space. I want warp 8 available in 5. What are you doing on Paratus 3? William T. Riker, SC2, blah blah blah. He reads his serial code. Oh, really? I'm Arcus Baran and I don't have a number. Now, what are you doing on Barandus 3? We were studying the ruins. It's a scientific expedition. Don't patronize me. The ruins have been studied for centuries. There's nothing new to learn. Then what were you doing there? Riker asked. Don't bother, Commander. You can't remove it. It's a neural directed kinesis. They put this thing. Ah. He has a device attached to Riker, and every time he touches it, Riker experiences severe pain. What happened to him? He failed to enforce it with me. This is a waste of time, Baran. Get rid of him now. You should be more patient, Vector. It will be warning. We'll wait. Let the memory of his pain argue with him for a while. It might change his attitude. And it is a Romulan woman, so they're torturing him. And then Yes, she was on the ship working undercover. I'm serious. Did you see it coming? Surprise! So then Picard's got to put a little show on. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You must be William T. Riker with a history of subordination. He was once even relieved of duty during the Cardassian incident -3. How do you know all this? Look, I've been smuggling artifacts in Federation sites for years. You can't help developing familiarity with Starfleet personnel. If we hadn't captured him, he'd probably have ended up before a court-martial. I've gotten out of them before, Riker says. Look, there's no use. Finish him now. Let me do it for you. Uh, they play with the ship. They have a give and take back and forth. Don't care. So they have a containment field breach, and Riker comes to the rescue and fixes it. So maybe they'll keep him alive a little longer. You know, I swear Lynch reminds me of oh, Khan, but what was the actor? He was from Fantasy Island. Ah, missed the good old TV days. After all that on the ship and all the tension and all that other stuff that goes on for 4 pages of dialogue, sorry. I don't want to bore you just reading the dialogue. Then Worf and Geordi are back on the planet. Data is there too. And they're trying to figure out if there's anything that's valuable down there for someone to be stealing. So then Riker and Picard catch up. We don't have much time. It's good to see you, Will. I didn't expect to see you here. I was looking to find the people who killed you on the surface. A witness said they saw you vaporized. These mercenaries use weapons that can activate their transporter. It gives them the opportunity to beam things quickly. Just by firing that's what they did to me. I don't understand any of this. Who are these people? What are you doing involved with them? The site that I wanted to study had been raided. A lot of the artifacts had been stolen. The site had been practically destroyed. I wanted to find out who was responsible. I tracked him to that bar on Desert 2. I must have asked too many questions. They captured me. They wanted to know how much I knew about their operation. Then you became part of their crew? I was convinced I was a smuggler and my name was Galen. I offered to help them appraise the artifacts they had stolen. Well, these aren't common thieves. They are stealing Romulan artifacts from archaeology sites throughout this sector. Brian has me analyzing each one as if they're looking for a particular signature, Will. They are looking for a specific artifact. Why? That's what we have to find out. Baron is the key. I think he knows more about what we're really looking for than anyone else on the ship. I want you to get close to him, try and figure his confidence. That's why you set up the engine failure, because you knew that I'd be able to fix it. He also believes that you're less than perfect Starfleet officer. I want you to play into that role. Baron and I, well, doesn't care much for me, but he has to tolerate me because he really needs my help with the artifacts. But if you and I become enemies, there's a better chance you and he becoming friends. All right, I can do that. And then they fake a fight. So then he comes in and tells them that they're heading for the Skeethan burial grounds in Calder 2. Calder 2, that isn't just an archaeology site, it's a Federation outpost. I don't see that as a problem. It's defended by Starfleet. You don't think they're going to stand by while we walk in there and take what we want? I'm familiar with the technical situation. What are their defenses? Nothing to worry about. We have a Type 4 deflector shield protecting the outpost and the ruins. They also have a minimum of 2 phaser banks and possibly photon torpedoes. Is that enough to worry about? How do you know so much about this outpost? Because I tried to smuggle a Scarsithian Sklipestone out of there 2 years ago. I barely got away in one piece. Our weapons are much more than a match for their defenses. I anticipate that we'll be able to destroy the outpost within 15 minutes. Then we'll send Taller and the landing parties to secure the relic. Why don't we use Riker? He's a Starfleet commander. He could talk us past the outpost security without raising their suspicions. When their shields go down, we can beam the artifacts up here with never leaving the ship. Why would Riker help us? Just because he's out of favor with Starfleet doesn't mean that he's ready to betray them. If he doesn't help us, we'll have to destroy the outpost and kill everybody on it. He's still a Starfleet officer. He won't want to take innocent lives if he can prevent it. So then they're like, okay, sounds good to me. So then Lynch is explaining to everybody, and they keep doing group shots. Group here, group there. And I don't want to keep stopping it. But he explains what they're going to do on that planet. And that's they want to investigate the planet. They go after it. And Riker contacts the planet, and he does the bluff, and they go down there, and the Enterprise arrives, and things go 6 ways to Sunday, and that's where the episode ends. So, I guess we'll have to tune in to see what happens when they get into a conflict with the Enterprise. Hold on a second, let me see. Oh, and she was trying to help him with the mission. I don't know what she was doing, but she was trying to help him with the mission. She works both sides of the field here. And Riker does the bluffing thing with the outpost. Okay, there we are. The Enterprise arrives to save the day. And that's where our episode ends. So, it's the end of Gambit Part 1. Please tune in next week for Gambit Part 2. And I'll have to go dig out the disc because this is the end of the disc. We've watched all 4 episodes. I hope you watched them with me. Has it been fun? Have we enjoyed our little time here with Star Trek Next Generation, the Gambit? We'll have to tune in next week to see what happens when everybody realizes Captain Picard is alive. What do you say? All right. Have a good one. Don't forget to watch If Then later this afternoon and Flashback Mondays and my daily book reviews. Have a good one.